Hello, I'm so glad to see you. I'd like to spend some time with you this afternoon and share one of my favorite books, Blue Moose, which is written and illustrated by Manus Pinkwater, who later wrote other books under the name of Daniel M. Pinkwater. This was written in 1975. And here is a picture right inside the title page. There's a short poem at the beginning for Otsu. The moose shines bright, the stars give a light, and you may kiss a porcupine at 10 o'clock at night. This book has 5 chapters, and I'm going to separate it into short videos that will be easier for me to post and send to you. So the first chapter will probably have 2 or 3 parts. I'm going to try to keep them to about 4 minutes each. So here we go. The first chapter is called Moose Meeting. Mr. Breton had a little restaurant on the edge of the big woods. There was nothing north of Mr. Breton's house, except nothing, with trees in between. When winter came, the north wind blew through the trees and froze everything solid. Then it would snow. Mr. Breton didn't like it. And here's a picture of where Mr. Breton lives. Mr. Breton was a very good cook. Every day, people from the town came to his restaurant. They ate gallons of his special clam chowder. They ate plates of his special beef stew. They ate fish stew and Mr. Breton's special homemade bread. The people from the town never talked much, and they never said anything about his cooking. "Did you like your clam chowder?" Mr. Breton would ask. "Yup," the people from the town would say. Mr. Breton wished they would say, "Delicious," or "Good chowder, Breton." All they ever said was, "Yup." In winter, they came on skis and snowshoes. Every morning, Mr. Breton went out behind his house to get firewood. He wore 3 sweaters, a scarf, galoshes, a woolen hat, a big checkered coat, and mittens. He still felt cold. Sometimes animals came out of the woods to watch Mr. Breton. Raccoons and squirrels came. The cold didn't bother them. It bothered Mr. Breton even more when they watched him. One morning, there was a moose in Mr. Breton's yard. It was a blue moose. When Mr. Breton went out his back door, the moose was there looking at him. After a while, Mr. Breton went back in, closed the door, and made a pot of coffee while he waited for the moose to go away. It didn't go away. It just stood in Mr. Breton's yard, looking at his back door. Mr. Breton drank a cup of coffee. The moose stood in the yard. Mr. Breton opened the door again. "Shoo, go away," he said. "Do you mind if I come in and get warm?" the moose said. "I'm just about frozen." The moose brushed past him and walked into the kitchen. His antlers almost touched the ceiling. The moose sat down on the floor next to Mr. Breton's stove. He closed his eyes and sat leaning toward the stove for a long time. And I'm going to end the first video here. We'll catch you in just a moment.